guys, it's Ashley, and today it's time for my October wrap-up. October was actually a better month of reading than I thought it was going to be, because on like the 2nd of October I realized NaNoWriMo's in November and I'm taking classes, so if I want to participate in NaNoWriMo, then I need to get all of my class reading done before November happens. And so I spent most of this month, I read almost an entire New Testament survey textbook. I have like 2 or 3 chapters left, but those aren't due until the middle of December, so those are waiting. I also read all of the reading for Theology 1. It was only like 180 pages, but man, there is a lot of big words and confusing things in that 180 pages. It took me a while. So that's all done. I still have to read the New Testament at some point this month and write a couple of papers, but I think they'll be pretty easy. They're both like 2 or 3 pages, so I'm gonna have to knock those out. But because of that, I didn't think I was going to read much in the month of October, and I didn't really read all of that much. However, I did read 7 books in the month of October. Yeah, 2 of them were rereads and 3 of them were like super short middle grade novels, but 7 books! That's still pretty impressive. I'm proud of myself that I got through all of that plus a textbook and a half. So let's just get into it, shall we? So October started with the middle of the Slay That Series readathon. I had set a goal for that readathon to try and read as many of the series of unfortunate events as possible. So I only managed to get through 3 books, but still, 3 books is better than no books. So those ones were The Reptile Room by Lemony Snicket. This is the 2nd in the series. The Wide Window, the 3rd in the series. And The Miserable Mill, the 4th in the series. I really enjoy these books, but I'm glad that I didn't read the whole series all the way through, because I noticed with these 3 that the stories are pretty repetitive. Like, the location and the person changes, but really it's the same story over and over. These kids are really unfortunate and bad things happen to them wherever they go. But it's still a good series, I'm enjoying it, and I hope to read the rest of the series by the end of the year. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but I'm going to try. These books are really easy to fly through. I think I read every single one of them within like an hour and a half, maybe. They're just really easy, so I flew through them, so that definitely helped boost up my book total for the month. After that, and with everything going on in my life, just being super busy and trying to get through all of the schoolwork, I needed a comfort read. And so I picked up one of my favorites, The Proposal by Lori Wick. This is the first book in the English Garden series by Lori Wick, which is my favorite series of, I want to say, all time. And as you might tell from the title, it's kind of set in like Victorian England. And so this particular book follows Jennings, and he is very set in his single ways, until one day he becomes the guardian of 3 children that belong to an obscure relative of his. And now all of a sudden he doesn't know how to take care of them or what to do, and he doesn't know how to be a dad. Meanwhile, there's a woman in town named Marianne who is friends with his sister and befriends the children, and so they start off this kind of awkward relationship. It starts off the first time they meet, Jennings proposes to Marianne to have a mother for his new children. He proposes 3 times over the course of this book, and it's a really sweet story. I cry every time I read it because these kids are just mourning the loss of their parents, and it comes through in different ways, and I love the little maze scene, and it's just one of my favorite books. So that brings us to October 6th. If you are a bibliophile and a book freak like I am, then you know October 6th, 2015 was a pretty great day for books, particularly for YA books. There were all sorts of announcements coming out, there were all sorts of new books coming out. I was planning to not buy any. Nope, I'm not going to. I'm gonna wait till they're a little cheaper, till my discount kicks in at Barnes & Noble, something like that. Except I woke up on the morning of October 6th and there were announcements all over the internet. And I thought they were jokes, but they weren't, because there was a new Twilight book out in the world, and you better believe that I went out and bought that thing right away as soon as I could. It was like 10:30 in the morning. Barnes & Noble like pretty much just opened, but I got it. If you want to see my whole video on this story, you can click up here. I will post that. I also did a full review of this book, so I will also post the link to that. But essentially it is Twilight retold as a gender switch. Everybody, if they were female in Twilight, they are now a male, and vice versa. This was just such a fun surprise. I couldn't not buy it, and then I read it in like 2 or 3 days. I really enjoyed it. It's basically fan fiction, and as long as you know that going in, then I don't think you'll have a problem with it. It's not a brand new book. It's not Midnight Sun. It's not, you know, a totally new story. It's Twilight with just little tweaks here and there because Beau and Edith are different people than Bella and Edward. And that's all I'm gonna say because I could keep going on, but I did a whole video on this, so please go check that out, link right here. Then I was sick and didn't read very much at all, except for what I had to get through for school. Then it brings us up to October 20th, when Illuminate came into the world for everyone to see and read and love as much as I do. I have done a book talk on this. You can click right here to go see it, or down below the link will be there as well. But I absolutely love this book. I think you guys know that because I've mentioned it in just about every video since, you know, June. But this story is really cool. So it follows a girl named Katie on the day that she breaks up with her boyfriend, and then her planet is attacked and destroyed. So she's now living on a spaceship, he's living on a different spaceship, and they're trying to come to terms with what happened, all the while wondering where their loved ones are and dealing with this mysterious virus that's aboard one of the ships. Also, there's like malfunctioning computers and the bad guys are still chasing them, and it's just chaos. So the story is told through a series of documents that are combined into this one file to shed light on the Carenza incident. It's just a really interesting story told in a beautiful, beautiful way. There's not like pictures or whatever, but the documents themselves are all designed differently. The words sometimes come together to make pictures across the page, and it's just fantastic. So if you go watch the review video that I did, I do share some of those pages there. Just know this is absolutely one of my favorite books of the year. It's just fantastic. I'm so glad it's out in the world. I can't wait for the second book, but I'm just so happy that it's finally out there and you guys can all read it and love it and talk to me about it. So please go get it, go read it, go love it, and come talk to me. Because I need people to talk to me about it because I just can't keep it all inside. Speaking of top books of the year, this next one is definitely a contender for me. I was just sitting around, I was like, I need to read a book and I don't know what I want to read, but I know I want it to be happy and I want it to be light and fluffy and just, you know, make you feel good inside. And so I picked up All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. Now some of you are going, what? Because you know this is not a book that is happy and fluffy and just makes you feel all good inside. It's about suicide. And I knew that going in. I knew the basic storyline, like Finch and Violet meet on a bell tower and they're planning to kill themselves and then they begin this unlikely friendship or whatever. So I knew that. I know that people have been talking about it in relation to like mental health books. I knew this. But I'm looking at the cover and I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. You know, all the bright places. It's gorgeous. And then you take off, I'll just take it off, the dust jacket, and the book itself is just so pretty and white, and there's all these stars, and there's a little finch and a little violet, and I'm hoping you can see all this. But it's just so pretty. Jennifer Niven's Instagram, which I've been following for a while, is always so peppy and happy, and she's always got like a giant smile, and she's always talking about supernatural, and like, yeah. So I didn't expect this book to be like really dark. I thought there'd be a happy ending, and I knew from the beginning that this book was going to hurt. And I knew from the beginning that I was going to have a hard time with it because I have had a finch in my life, and in fact my finch shared a name with this finch, and there were just a lot of similarities between book finch and my finch, and so I knew that I was gonna have to like try and separate things, but the more I went through the story, the more I couldn't. I found myself really worried about this finch, which in extension led to me being worried about my finch. This book just like broke me. I had to go to work in the middle of reading this book, and the whole time I was at work I just kept thinking about, I hope Finch is okay. Like, I need to go home and read the book and see what's going to happen to Finch because I need to know if he's all right. Violet I wasn't as worried about because she seemed to be getting her stuff together, but Finch was just all over the place, totally manic, and I was worried. But I also related to Violet in some ways. I have never been that depressed. I've never contemplated suicide, but I did relate to her on a lot of levels. I don't want to get into a whole review because I am going to do a video on this. I don't have one yet, but I'm going to do a review video on this because I just loved it so much and I really need to talk about it. It was quite depressing. I mean, the whole book is about suicide, but I felt it was handled in a really beautiful way and a really hopeful way. I think Jennifer Niven did an excellent job with this book. The whole thing is beautiful and heartbreaking and heart-wrenching and just immensely touching and realistic. So there you have it, the 7 books that I managed to get through in the month of October. They were really good books. I'm very happy that I read all of them. If you've read any of them, let me know down below what you thought. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you soon.